Hello my dudes, welcome back to my series, Internet Analysis, where I like to research and discuss things relevant to social issues and media. Today I want to talk about underconsumption core. I think it's nonsense. Not that the ideas or concepts behind it are unwarranted, I just think the actual term does not make sense. But that in itself has been a huge contributor to its popularity. Many of us have been roped into conversations about this because underconsumption core is deliciously confusing, misleading, romanticized, corified. It is the perfect recipe for a trend to participate in, talk about, or make fun of. So obviously, consumption is about what we use and buy. Overconsumption is buying too much, more than you could ever reasonably use, so things just go to waste or sit untouched, collecting dust. And underconsumption is in direct opposition to that. It is essentially about buying less and using what you have. So naturally, many people have been asking, yeah, isn't that just normal behavior? Or like, welcome to how poor people live. You've got to use every last drop of something before you throw it out. Some have even wondered if this is specifically kind of co-opting the idea of living in poverty. But I will say, to be fair, the word underconsumption does carry an implication of deprivation, not having enough, not consuming enough. In economic terms, underconsumption is when demand falls below supply, which of course we cannot have. And the economy right now overall is obviously a major factor here. The cost of living is nuts, as we talk about in every video, and a recession is looming. It totally makes sense that being more resourceful and less wasteful would be on trend right now because we're all trying to tighten our budgets. Anyway, within this TikTok context, underconsumption just means less than average, basically. In a world where overconsumption has been so normalized, the Overton window of shopping has shifted so far that now anything less than that seems impressively thrifty or light. This is how we've reached this point where, yes, regular, average, normal consumer behavior is seen as under-consuming in comparison to the extremes we've gotten used to. This isn't the first time we've been sold the idea of buying less, which always feels very ironic, like when de-influencing was bastardized. Instead of, you don't need these things, do not buy them, it slowly became, don't buy all the things, but here are some fewer, maybe more expensive things that are really worth it. Anyway, many people support the concept of more mindful consumption, basically living by the 5 R's: refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose, and recycle. But it seems like what people are really critical of here is the core element. Of course, once something is promoted as a trend or an aesthetic, it can feel less authentic. Do you really care about cutting down on waste, or do you just want to look like the kind of person who does? Is this about truly changing the way that you consume and live, or is this just another passing fad that people are gonna forget about? And by the way, I know I'm making this video late, but I am now 9 months pregnant. Baby is due very soon, and everything is a slower process, so bear with me. Even being on camera right now feels like a major accomplishment. But I do think what we'll cover today will always be relevant, even if the term underconsumption core is already out of style. So let's rewind and track the TikTok trends. I tried to dig and find out where underconsumption core came from, what were the earliest references to it, maybe who coined the term, but TikTok does not make it easy to search. It's so frustrating that you can't search by oldest. But anyway, let's dig into how this trend and the public perception to it evolved. I'm sure the term had been used prior to this, but the earliest TikTok I could find referencing underconsumption is from June 28th. Underconsumption final boss. This TikTok sound is a sped up version of Big Thief's song, Vampire Empire. The sound has previously been used for many trends, including one about your dilapidated old toys and things begging to be put out of their misery. So it is fitting for this sound to be used in reference to underconsumption, in the sense of like, I'm still using this 10-year-old hair straightener that's broken in half, and the underconsumption final boss is in reference to recent trends like microtrend final boss and overconsumption final boss. So these final boss posts are usually aimed at other people, making fun of them for doing too much, but the final boss meme can also be used in a self-deprecating way. Like, these underconsumption final boss posts usually refer to themselves, and they are jokes. This is definitely not a glamorized representation. People are showing off their crustiest, dustiest belongings that might even be a little bit hazardous to use. Next, I found the same sound being used in a slightly different way. Instead of, haha, I'm still using my old disgusting whatever, It's more in the realm of these things might not be on trend, but I'm still wearing or using them. I think this is where we start to see a shift, the potential for underconsumption to be something to show off in a more blatantly positive way. And that brings us to underconsumption core. I found that through early July, the concept of underconsumption was spreading. This TikTok from July 9th was the earliest reference I could find of the specific term underconsumption core with the signature sparkly emojis. Very important. This version of the trend uses Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, which I don't think has any significance. It was just a trending song overall. These posts show things like a small makeup collection with products that are actually being used. And again, using things that are maybe older and imperfect, but still functional. And when these were being posted, the comment sections were full of people saying very positive things like, love to see this, hope my algorithm stays on underconsumption TikTok. And third, around the same time, another version of the underconsumption core trend emerges, but this one is even more intentionally romanticized. It features the Norah Jones song, Don't Know Why. I waited till I saw the sun. I don't know why I didn't come. Thanks, copyright. In these posts, we see the same sorts of items. Repurposed mason jars, minimal makeup and skincare collections, secondhand stuff, thrifted furniture, hand-me-downs. But I really do think this song choice played a big role in making this a more popular trend. There's just something about this song that feels nostalgic and cozy. It signals that you can still have this cute, quaint lifestyle even with older or less trendy items. And the romanticizing is a crucial element. It can be really hard to resist buying new stuff. Overconsumption, as I mentioned, is absolutely everywhere online, and we are constantly being sold things. Honestly, most social media companies have been transformed into shopping platforms. Like, the vast majority of TikTok lives are those like QVC kind of shopping shows now. It's bizarre. So again, in opposition to all of that, it is refreshing and encouraging to see more normal, mellow lifestyles not only be accepted, but celebrated. We finally get the chance to romanticize the mundane, which can help reinforce the idea in our brains that consuming less can feel great and even be aspirational. But inevitably, as underconsumption core becomes more popular, the reception gets a bit more critical. But before we continue, this portion of today's video is sponsored by Warby Parker. Warby Parker is your one-stop shop for stylish prescription eyewear, contacts, and eye exams. You can shop online or visit one of their over 250 locations across the US and Canada. If you're using the website or the app, I highly recommend checking out the virtual try-on. I find it super helpful and very realistic. I can figure out which shapes and styles are my favorite. I have another pair of sunglasses to show you. These are the Rosy in Wide. The color is Mulberry Tortoise Fade. It's so pretty. These are just the perfect everyday pair for me. They match with anything. And importantly, they are just very comfortable and lightweight. Plus, all of Warby Parker's sunglasses have scratch resistant and UV blocking lenses. What more could you want in your sunnies? If you need new glasses soon, check out Warby Parker. Their glasses start at just $95 with free shipping and 30-day returns. Click the link in my description, test out the virtual try-on, and you can get 15% off when you order 2 or more prescription pairs online or in stores. It is fascinating how fast the tides can turn, especially in regard to TikTok trends. One minute people are getting praised for their mason jars, and the next, the trend is seen as unrealistic or even try hard. I think there are quite a few factors at play here. First of all, when something is trendy or perhaps overly romanticized, it's not unreasonable to cynically think people are just jumping on the bandwagon. If you want to look mindful and down to earth, quick, just dig out your oldest, most worn out things and pretend you use it all the time because you're so humble and don't care about status symbols at all. The many downsides of horrifying. I think another factor is that to some viewers, these sorts of videos can feel a little bit environmentally holier than thou, reminiscent of ultra low waste, all my trash fits in a jar kind of vibes. And this is a problem that many creators face when they talk about anything involving sustainability. Viewers can be inclined to spot what they view as hypocrisy. You say you're under consuming, yet as these commenters wrote, you have 12 pairs of jean shorts? Do I spy paper plates? Boom. Gotcha. I will agree that seeing this creator refer to Ray Dunn dog bowls as passed down through generations was hilarious. She later clarified that she meant passed down through doggy generations because she fosters, but Still, that was classic. In addition to questioning whether these creators are truly under-consuming, some viewers think that the content can feel a little bit not like other girls, especially with so much emphasis on minimal beauty or skincare or clothing. So then, of course, we start to see satirical videos popping up making fun. The simple life is all I need. I don't get my nails done. And despite what is visible in the background, I only have one of everything, including my family heirloom Stanley Cup. You know what? I want to make my own underconsumption core TikTok. I'm inspired. My bomb.com I've had for maybe 4 years and finally finished. These shorts from high school that I've been wearing lately because nothing else fits me right now. My favorite old bralette begging to be put out of its misery. The last tenants here left this light and we're keeping it. Wow. So when it comes to the trend of underconsumption core, obviously highlighting a few items around your house that happen to be old or well used doesn't really mean anything. These short videos are not necessarily a reflection of reality. For all we know, you could have a wall of Stanley Cups right outside the frame. And I don't expect a cute trend of B-roll set to music to change the world. I know a lot of people just saw this as a quick video idea to make, so they did. Welcome to TikTok. However, I do want to give this trend and this term credit for being, at the very least, a very big conversation starter. Whether due to people criticizing the trend or praising it, I have seen a lot of larger discussions popping up out of this, going beyond whether any single creator is really under-consuming, if they're under-consuming right or enough or at all. I'm just always glad to see more people talking about sustainability, shopping addictions, more mindful consumption. That is a great thing. Wow, maybe the real underconsumption core was the friends we made along the way. Another thing I wanted to touch on were the class dynamics at play. As I've mentioned, depending on where you're coming from, people interpret this trend differently and feel differently about it. Is so-called underconsumption just normal, average consumer behavior, or is it a sign that you're broke or you're poor? Within the romanticized core element, we're probably seeing more middle-class representation rather than people in literal poverty for obvious reasons. The middle and upper classes can romanticize this idea in ways that poorer people can't. Like, first of all, if there is an element of choice here, choosing to underconsume, that is a big distinction compared to lower income people who have to consume less out of necessity. Similar to van life, which I made a video about years ago, something like this can be romantic and cool when it's a choice, less so when it's your only option to survive. And for another example, shoes. A lower income person might buy, say, 5 pairs of shoes in a year, but they're cheaper, they're lower quality, they wear out fast, hence why they have to keep replacing them. Higher earners will sometimes try to offer advice and they'll be like, you know, if you spent the cost of all those shoes on one really good pair, it would last you much longer. And that is just incredibly unhelpful because, first of all, it's not like poor people don't know that. The problem is when you don't have the extra money, you can't afford the upfront cost. You can only afford one cheap pair of shoes. And to that, they would probably say, okay then, check out thrift stores or Facebook Marketplace. Which, yes, of course, those can potentially be great resources. But also, first of all, lower income people are usually very familiar and well-versed with secondhand shopping. But ultimately, this is not just a magic solution to any problem because they may not have the time or the transportation required to be able to shop like that for all of their needs. Overall, these bits of advice may be well-meaning, but sometimes they're just ignorant of the reality of what it's like to be poor. Anyway, to me, this whole question of what really counts as underconsumption, it can be overcomplicated, but it really just boils down to, are you actually using what you have? If you are buying 5 pairs of shoes and wearing them out, you are making full use of them. Versus someone else maybe buying 5 pairs of shoes, a ton of new outfits, doing Shein hauls, whatever, and wearing those things once or maybe not at all. The goal for this whole underconsumption concept is to stop buying way more than you need and just focus your attention on what you already have. So when it comes to trying to maximize the utilization of stuff you have, this reminded me of 2 things. First, empties and Project Pan videos. These have been on YouTube forever in the beauty and, makeup communities. Basically, people make a challenge out of intentionally trying to use up specific items. And it can be a really great exercise in reminding yourself what you already have in your collection, because often, especially in these genres, people can have massive, massive beauty collections. And you often realize how much is going to waste and just how long it takes to use up even a single lipstick or blush. So it can be a big wake-up call how to not buy anything else until you run out and you genuinely need a replacement for something. And overall, these kind of exercises or philosophies can apply to other things, like maybe you're not allowing yourself to buy new books until you actually read the ones you have. Me. Whatever your thing is, it's good to be aware of. And a second way to maximize utilization, buy for life. There's a subreddit about this. People will ask or share recommendations for practical, durable, and quality-made products that are made to last. So when you are in a position where you do have the time to research and you want to invest in a good quality thing, it's really helpful to know what is worth it. Some of these items might be more pricey depending on your budget, but quality things don't have to necessarily be wildly expensive. Sometimes it's just a matter of knowing which brands or specific things to look for. And as always, you can search secondhand and you might be able to find a gem at a great price, or even free. Ultimately, the goal is to be able to buy something once instead of replacing it every few years. And if you can afford that upfront cost, you're gonna end up saving money long term. A classic kind of example is cookware. Whether you're buying cheaper non-stick sets or those fancy ceramic cookware that you've seen on TikTok ads probably, a lot of these are gonna end up scratched and messed up anyway, and it can be so frustrating. It can be really hard to find quality cookware that lasts. And this is where the cast iron evangelists will come in. Just get a cast iron, it's gonna last you forever. Be a convert. But you might have the same issue in shopping for this. Oh, is this gonna be really expensive? Should I get a pricier brand? Is that gonna be better quality? I will say I have an enamel cast iron skillet from Le Creuset. Fancy, I know. I bought it as an investment a few years ago. I think it was around $130. I definitely don't regret buying ours. It's gonna last us a long time, but we absolutely could have bought a really great cast iron pan for much less. I definitely fell for the branding. It's a beautiful pan. But anyway, not spawn, but the Buy for Less subreddit would probably tell you just buy a Lodge for like $40. That's something you really can pass down for generations. So let's chat about all my thoughts and feelings about this overall. There might be a new name for this, underconsumption core, but the whole concept is not new. Underconsumption core is basically just a new iteration of minimalism. And as we talk about many of the critiques, minimalism faced many similar criticisms. Is this just a movement for privileged people to act like they're living simply? Did you know that poor people live this way out of necessity, not because it's cool? Or like, do you have to ironically buy new stuff in order to fit into this perfect lower waist lifestyle? Now, this is my theory. I think the 2010s kind of minimalism went out of style, and I think specifically Gen Z and younger people almost see it as kind of cringe now. One, because they naturally associate it with millennials, but also, yeah, the aesthetic of it all, the same talking points feel very outdated and tired. It's interesting because underconsumption has very similar values. We're talking about similar consumer and moral issues, plus an emphasis on living a simpler life, less distracted by things. Younger people also want to be more eco-friendly, save some money, waste less, but not like that, not like the 2010s version. The stark white and gray minimalist aesthetic feels very passé to a lot of people. Maybe some millennials and other people are still into it, but overall, the culture, society is a lot more into maximalism right now, more color. Again, the pendulum is always swinging between overconsumption being glamorized, then it's gross, and we appreciate underconsumption. Same with minimalism and maximalism. So I find it really interesting that like 2010s minimalism was telling us to basically throw out all your stuff that doesn't bring joy or whatever, get rid of your knickknacks, declutter to the bare essentials. We're talking about basics, neutrals, capsule wardrobes, right? But this current, maybe younger version of underconsumption can still be compatible with maximalism, and that's definitely a distinction from minimalism. A major reason for that is underconsumption is not telling you to get rid of everything. If anything, it's saying keep what you have and actually use it. Underconsumption, if anything, tends to lean more grandma core, as in inspired by our grandparents' homes, full of personal items they've lovingly collected throughout their lifetime. The aesthetic is maximalist with all the knickknacks and clashing pieces. And sustainability is another element of grandma core, though for older folks, I don't think this is intentionally like for for the sake of being lower waist. It's really just practical. They simply keep a lot of their stuff. Why? Number one, they're probably on a fixed income and they don't want to waste money. But more importantly, two, if it works, why replace it? Many of them are still rocking furniture and appliances from decades ago. And of course, they were lucky to experience a time where things actually were higher quality and made to last compared to today with forced obsolescence. Our new stuff is literally designed to not last, and it's painful. Anyway, in the spirit of grandma core, many younger people are trying to emulate the personality, the longevity with their personal collections, antique furniture, and hand-me-downs. It's a win-win, baby. I also think that this really aligns with the recent conversations and emphasis about personal style. Again, I've made a video about this recently, but I think similar to the clothing that we wear and trying to develop that sense of personal style, we want that reflected in our homes as well. It's about focusing more on your life experiences, collecting things that are meaningful to you. You want things to be unique. You want to start to love and appreciate the things you already have. Wear and use your stuff. Repair it when it's broken instead of just throwing it away. And yes, there's definitely an element of romanticization. There's an element of romanticizing that is, again, very crucial because it can be a good way to frame this, to fight against the pressures to buy more things. It's nice to look around and appreciate little things and be like, you know what, that is not that special in itself, but it is meaningful to me and therefore it does have value. It has personal value, it's nostalgic, these things around me represent me, and that is where their value comes from, and that's why I'm gonna keep them around and use them. Anyway, I actually ended up with literally 10 more pages of notes about 2010s minimalism, and I might want to do a whole video, like a retrospective on that, because I think it's very interesting to go back and compare that sort of minimalism to today's atmosphere and just why it doesn't all align anymore. So hopefully you might be interested in that because it's good info. I don't want it to go to waste. I've got limited time before this baby arrives. I've got to get shit done. But anyway, aside from all of that, I also think that these sorts of realizations are just kind of classic young adult coming of age thoughts. Like, at least for myself, it was definitely my late teens, early 20s where I started to learn more about minimalism, mindful consumption, the environment, waste, again, working conditions, and I was trying to solidify my identity as an adult, as an individual. I was recognizing myself as a consumer, working, spending my own money, and trying to be thoughtful about that because I finally realized the power and potential of your dollar. Like, I found this video of myself, I was 21, talking about these exact same issues. Since moving out of my parents' house, moving to college, moving to a dorm, it's just so exhausting to have so much stuff that you just have to like pack up and then organize and keep neat. So I'm just really trying to keep a smaller collection of things and, you know, only get the essentials. This is kind of a resolution for 2017 actually. If I'm going to minimize what I'm buying, that's great, but I also need to be mindful of which companies I'm supporting, and I want to just be a better consumer. 2016 was literally the year of realizing things. Less is more. That's the most cliche thing, but truly, honestly, materials will not make you happy. Having a big house, filling it with tons of stuff will not make you happy. Having a dream closet will make you happy for a minute until the next trend comes out. I also think an element is when you're a young adult and you're broke and you're realizing, oh, being an adult is very expensive and I need to be careful what I'm spending my money on because I do not have a lot of it. I think all of those things are at play. Some of you might say, oh, like kids are learning about those issues younger now, like they're not in their early 20s learning about waste for the first time, and that's great. If you learn about this when you're like a kid or like a young teenager, that's cool. But again, I think this is a classic coming of age moment. I think there's a reason why so many people at this point in their life tend to have similar epiphanies about their lifestyle and their consumption. It can happen at any age, but I think it's very likely and very powerful specifically at that point. Anyway, that is today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I've been having quite a time with pregnancy and just doctor's appointments, checkups, trying to prepare for baby who could come any day now. We also just moved. That's always fun. And with that being said, I wanted to give another shout out to my Patreon. I am restarting my Patreon for my very short maternity leave. I forgot to even mention this, but I wanted to clarify. I'm only planning on taking off maybe 4 or 5 weeks because I'm self-employed. That will be unpaid. The United States parental leave policies are abysmal. So yeah, because it's unpaid, I can't afford to stay away from work too long, and also the algorithm is probably gonna punish me if I disappear for too long. So I'm really not gonna be gone for long, and my goal is to hopefully get an extra video made that can go live while I'm taking that time off. It's very frustrating because I would love to just focus on baby and my family and just soaking up every minute of it, and I will as much as I can, but also I have to survive and pay the bills. I also say that knowing that some people have it even worse. Some people have absolutely no paid leave and they're required to get back to their job full-time in the office like days after having a baby, which I think is so like truly horrific. Anyway, that being said, I also know economic conditions are not great now, but if you happen to have money to spare and you would like to support me in a small way during my little bit of time off, yeah, you can check out my Patreon, and that would be so very much appreciated. But again, as always, you do not have to do that. Watching videos here, giving a like, giving a comment, engaging helps a lot as well. Okay, that is all. Hope you're all doing well. Stay tuned for future internet analysis videos. Hopefully a few more are coming out before baby. She's coming soon. I really can't believe it. Okay, thanks, bye.